Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Life, Liberty, and Levin. We're fighting a two-front war in this country. One, domestically, defending our Constitution and our republic from the Democrat Party and the media, and I'm afraid to say the judiciary. The other is the Cold War with China. Yes, we're in a Cold War with China. The President of the United States has recognized that for some time. And we're going to spend this program really looking into that as well. But before we do, the first war against America. You know, Abraham Lincoln famously once said that if America is going to be defeated, it will be defeated from within. And this is exactly what's taking place. The electors have met. The media says it's over. The election is all done. You know what this is? I bring it with me all the time. In this little book is a copy of the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. We've talked about Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of the Constitution. It's there like every other part of the Constitution. It's not in invisible ink, it's in black and white. And what does it require, ladies and gentlemen? It's very simple. When they met in Philadelphia, and then they met in the various state capitals for ratification of the Constitution, all of the framers insisted that the state legislatures make the election laws, particularly as applies to the selection of federal electors who in turn select the President of the United States. This part of the Constitution is as sacrosanct as all other parts of the Constitution. How many newsrooms have done stories on this? None. How many newsrooms even talk about this? None. And yet that has been the purpose of some of the litigation that's gone all the way to the United States Supreme Court. And what has the United States Supreme Court done? Nothing. Nothing. Those individuals on that court, those justices took an oath to uphold the Constitution, and they've utterly failed us. In virtually every state that's been in contention, particularly the battleground states, that part of the Constitution has been violated. In Georgia, when the Secretary of State entered into a consent decree with Stacey Abrams to change the voting system, that is, the signature requirement, he usurped the power of the state legislature, pure and simple. In Pennsylvania, the state legislature was usurped so many times I can't even count it, by the governor, by the Secretary of State, by a rogue Democrat-controlled and elected state Supreme Court. That case went all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and so far, what has the court done? An 18-word, don't come back, we're not going to deal with it. And it's not just Pennsylvania and Georgia. Same thing happened in Michigan. Same thing has happened in almost all of these states where you have Democrats controlling the executive, or a rhino in the case of Georgia with the Secretary of State. This is why we have a Supreme Court. Judicial review for the purpose of upholding the United States Constitution. When it sits there and pretends that they're just observers, that decide they don't want to get involved, they have done a grave disservice to this country. They have not upheld the Constitution, and we will pay the price for this in elections to come. The state legislatures are in control of setting the election rules in all of these states, but not anymore. Not anymore. A governor can do it, a bureaucrat can do it, a state court can do it, a federal court can do it. This election cycle, Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of the Constitution has been read out of the Constitution. Why? To accommodate the Democrats, to accommodate Joe Biden. And what is it that they wanted? They wanted an election process in place where they can take what used to be fraud, what used to be considered ballots that would be rejected, as counted. They don't want to count every vote. They want to change the voting system. And that's exactly what they did in every single one of these states. And the news hasn't even covered it. Instead, we get spitballs from the so-called legal analysts. Spitballs where they say, oh, they lost another case. Oh, I read the brief and I noticed in footnote 3 they didn't say this. Where are the defenders of the United States Constitution in this part of the Constitution? They sure as hell aren't on the Supreme Court or any federal court. Because we, the people, have now been abused Why does it take so long to count and find out who the winners and losers are? Because that's what the Democrats have done in California, and that's now what they've done in all these states. And because this hasn't been confronted, because the court ducked one time after another, now we're stuck with it. Now we're stuck with it. And so they paint those of you and us who object to this as problematic, as something's wrong with us. They paint the President of the United States, who's not just defending his election, he's defending the Constitution of the United States. They paint him as a loser, and they try to humiliate him and so forth. Again, the media have spent exactly no time explaining how the Constitution works. One more thing. I hear earlier in the week, oh, the electors have met and the electors have voted. It's over. They don't even understand how the process works. It's not over. January 6th is when Congress meets jointly, the House and the Senate. It's the new Congress, the newly sworn-in Congress that's sworn in on January 3rd by statute. And they sit and they count the electors from every state. A House member can object, a Senate member can object. This is under federal law. Then they have a debate. Depending on how the vote turns out, the matter can be thrown to the House of Representatives to choose a president. The Senate can choose the vice president. I'm not saying it's going to get to that point, but this idea that the media first proclaim the winner, and then, oh, now we count the electors, and then we don't even wait for Congress to meet. Again, nobody has sat down in any newsroom on any Sunday show and explained to the American people how this process works. It's all surface. It's all cheerleading for their man Biden, cheerleading against Trump. It is a disgrace that we live in a constitutional republic and then the media pretend we don't. It is a disgrace that we live in a constitutional republic and the court that we expect, that we rely on to uphold that republic, has failed us miserably, miserably. What the hell's the point of this court? Now, this court has used judicial review and gotten involved in matters it had no business getting involved in, never had a problem. This court is so political that when it came to Obamacare, the Chief Justice of the United States flipped sides because he's worried about how he'll be seen or his legacy. There's way too much of that going on the Supreme Court, which is why I believe, and I wrote about this in Men in Black and the Liberty Amendments, that Supreme Court justices should be term limited. Term limited. If they're going to act like politicians, then they shouldn't be serving for life. Now, I don't agree with the Democrats that they should only be term limited when they want them term limited. They should be term limited to a 14-year term. That's plenty of time. Will we lose some good justices? Yes. But so what? The system has to be changed. I can tell you that the framers of the Constitution never, ever expected the court to be so powerful. And when the court chooses not to act, that's powerful. When the court chooses not to enforce the Constitution, that's powerful because it's non-action. It's non-action then does what? It enshrines what these lawless courts, lawless governors, and lawless secretaries of state have done.